First of all, hi, my name is Lena. I'm one of the board members of the Alumni Association, and together with Antoine, who's going to introduce our speaker for today, we organize a series of webinars to facilitate our recent and also longer alumni to entry into the job market, because we felt like in this difficult situation around COVID, many people are looking for a job, many people are in between jobs, and we especially want to help students from the college and alumni from the college who did not participate in the law program, because lawyers tend to have it a bit easier still, even today. In any case, the series of webinar will take place now in the fall and winter, and also during the next year, maybe. Let's see how many people we can find. And yeah, I would encourage you all to participate. And also I encourage you all to join the alumni LinkedIn group, because they're really on a nearly daily basis job opportunity gets posted. So yeah, really join this this LinkedIn group. And I will give the word to Antoine in a minute, who's going to introduce our speaker today. Otherwise, just some general rules for this webinar. Just please stay muted so you don't interrupt our speaker. You can put the video on if you want, but you don't have to. Also, if you have any questions for the questions section in the end, please write them in the chat function, which should be enabled. So just so we can collect some questions, and if some people have the same questions, we can group them together a little bit. If you want, in the end, I will unmute you, or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions yourself. But we just want to keep a little overview, so not everybody is basically having the same questions. So please use the chat functions for questions. And yeah, now I'm going to give the floor to my colleague, Antoine, who's going to introduce Patrick. Antoine, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lena. Once again, welcome to all. We are very pleased to welcome you for this very first webinar. Please don't be afraid to ask any kind of question during this seminar, or even later on, you know, about this kind of new formula that we are trying to set up. Any kind of question or how to find a stage, a job in Brussels or anything, you know, we are very pleased to help you, and we can have a call, we can have a meeting, and anything else, you know, if you want, we can really help you. And this is the objective of this seminar. Today, we are very lucky to welcome Patrick Klein. Patrick Klein, who is a close friend to me, has done the College of Europe in 1996, promotion Walter Einstein. Patrick started his professional career in Brussels in what we call at that time BAT. It was like Assistance Technical Office, you know, it was like the EU office outside the European Commission to support EU programs such as Leonardo, Socrates, this kind of program coming from the Commission. Then Patrick had a chance to get in DG Enterprise, the Direction General in charge of industry at that time, called Enterprise at the European Commission level, for quite a few years, dealing with international cooperation issues. Then he had a chance to go into another institution, the Economic and Social Committee, and it was a very good experience for him, I believe, since it was this new stakeholders' life, you know, outside the European Commission, dealing with NGO, professional organization, and so on. And after this experience, Patrick decided to come back to DG Industry, called now DG Grow, in 2014, 6 years ago. And he's in charge of the, it's just fantastic. We don't know really what it is, you know. When you don't work in this area, it's quite difficult to know what it is really. And reading articles, going to events, participating in seminars, you just discover that this is a fantastic domain, and Patrick will tell us what it is exactly, what kind of opportunity do you have to find a job, what kind in Brussels, in France, in Germany, in Spain, wherever, you know, and he will tell you the way to progress into this area. Patrick, merci beaucoup encore d'être avec nous. Je sais que tu travailles beaucoup parce que vous êtes très sollicité dans cette période de Covid, parce que vous apportez beaucoup à l'économie et le local, les liens entre personnes sont fondamentaux dans ton domaine et sont fondamentaux dans cette période critique. Donc, merci encore d'être avec nous et je te passe la parole. Merci encore à toi.
Lena, Antoine, thanks a lot, you know, for this kind word. It's and I will unmute. I think everybody can hear me now. Thanks a lot, Lena. Thanks a lot, Antoine, you know, for these kind words. I'm very happy to be with you today to discuss with students from the College of Europe and alumni. I mean, for us, Antoine, it's already a long time ago, let's say 20, 25 years ago that we studied at the college, but we are always, you know, very close to this school. It's very, let's say, I always like to go to Bruges to visit the city, and it's true that it's really an experience to be there, and we stayed really in touch, you know, all these years with all the alumni still meeting, you know, nowadays. So for this presentation, we'll switch in English and in French. I hope that there will be no problem on this. Being French myself, I try to push the use of the French language, you know, into the European institution. I think it's important. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle je vais, dans la première partie de mon intervention, eh bien, parler dans la langue de Molière. Donc, merci pour cette invitation et de vous présenter en quelques mots, je dirais, ce que nous faisons sur l'économie sociale et solidaire ici au niveau de la Commission européenne. Alors, parler de ce secteur, c'est un sujet éminemment très intéressant, très pertinent, mais faut-il encore le définir? C'est quoi aujourd'hui l'économie sociale, l'économie solidaire? Moi, j'utiliserai trois mots. Le premier, ce sont tout d'abord des statuts pour les entreprises. Et lorsqu'on parle de statut d'entreprise, je soulignerai que ces statuts sont les coopératives, les associations, les fondations, les entreprises sociales, donc ces entreprises qui ont un fort impact, je dirais, social sur des questions de société. On a remarqué qu'elles prenaient de plus en plus de poids au niveau de cette économie. En Europe, environ 10% 9 à 10% du PIB européen eh bien, est réalisé via ces entreprises sociales. Ce sont des statuts, mais ce sont aussi des valeurs, des pratiques. Ce sont des entreprises qui vont placer leur objectif social au-dessus, je dirais, des objectifs purement de rentabilité pour les actionnaires. Alors, certaines de ces entreprises n'ont pas d'actionnaires, elles sont financées d'une manière un peu particulière. Mais l'objectif premier, c'est de dire, si nous faisons du profit, nous devons réinvestir ce profit pour l'objectif social de l'entreprise. Voilà, en quelques mots, 10% du PIB, c'est environ plus de 15 millions de jobs au niveau de l'Union européenne. Et c'est un sujet qui est éminemment porteur pour nous, mais essentiellement pour la jeunesse, parce que là encore, on l'a remarqué depuis ces dernières années, un nombre impressionnant de jeunes ou d'étudiants veulent débuter une carrière avec un métier qui a du sens, un métier qui va avoir un impact social. Les études qu'on a pu mener, et je vous enverrai dans le cadre du chat certains liens, eh bien, on remarque que c'est une tendance qui devient, si je peux me permettre d'utiliser cette expression, beaucoup plus présente, je dirais, au niveau des étudiants et des personnes qui recherchent un emploi. ces personnes qui veulent donner un sens à leur métier, qui vont développer ce qu'on appelle par exemple l'intrapreneuriat social. Donc, on travaille dans une entreprise tout à fait traditionnelle, une grande entreprise. Alors, je vais prendre l'entreprise d'Antoine, Rolls-Royce. Eh bien, dans le cas de ce genre d'entreprise, on va développer des secteurs, des départements qui vont mettre en place des projets particuliers pour aider des couches de la population qui peuvent être défavorisées, intégrer par exemple des migrants au niveau du travail, travailler également à l'impact social pour développer simplement les aspects intergénérationnels. Donc, on remarque bien que l'entreprise aujourd'hui, ce n'est plus simplement une entreprise qui va rechercher du profit, mais c'est une entreprise qui cherche à s'intégrer dans un écosystème. C'est une entreprise qui cherche à travailler avec ses différents partenaires. Donc, l'économie sociale des statuts, des valeurs, des pratiques, et bien sûr, il est tout à fait normal que la Commission européenne commence à s'intéresser au développement de ces entreprises. Alors, pour faire un petit peu d'histoire, parce que j'ai aussi un background d'étudiant en histoire, avec un master en ce domaine, eh bien, il faut remonter à la commission Delors. C'est Jacques Delors qui, en 1990, a décidé de créer au sein même de la Commission européenne la première unité économie sociale. Comment, dans une économie sociale de marché, on va pouvoir développer des entreprises qui sont des entreprises ayant un objectif différent que celle des entreprises traditionnelles. Donc, beaucoup de travail a été mené depuis 1990, notamment en termes de statut et de promouvoir aussi au niveau du marché unique européen la possibilité de faire en anglais on dirait du cross-border, de travailler de manière transfrontalière. Comment ces entreprises qui sont fortement ancrées dans les territoires vont pouvoir se développer au niveau du marché unique. Et puis, on a remarqué dans les années 2000 qu'il y avait moi j'appellerais ça une nouvelle école qui commençait à se développer, une école qui ne se basait pas forcément sur les statuts, mais une école qui était intéressée par l'impact social, quel que soit le statut. C'est plutôt une école de type anglo-saxonne. On a vu se développer par exemple à Harvard beaucoup d'études et de recherches sur cet entrepreneuriat social, ce social entrepreneurship qui commençait à prendre beaucoup de poids dans les pays anglo-saxons et qui a commencé à pénétrer au niveau du marché unique. Donc, aujourd'hui, cette économie sociale, eh bien, c'est l'innovation sociale, l'entrepreneuriat social, c'est encore les statuts pour les différentes entreprises. Et nous, Commission européenne, nous voulons travailler à ce développement. So in fact, what are we doing? Why are we there? And why have we decided to set up a dedicated unit now in DG Grow? Well, in fact, we are not working alone in the European Commission. We are working with different Directorate General. Here in Directorate General Grow, which is a Directorate General focusing on internal market, industry, entrepreneurship and SMEs, we are working with other Director General to help those kind of enterprises to grow in the internal market. So first thing that we are doing, we decided to set up dedicated financial instrument to support their development. And in order to achieve this, we are currently working with the European Investment Bank located in Luxembourg and the European Investment Fund to help them, to make the utmost, so that they know they can expand. So what we have done and what we have requested to the European Investment Fund and the European Investment Bank is to sign agreement with different banks located all over the place in Europe. And we ask them, please banks, you want to support the development of social enterprises, so please do it. And if you have, for example, of a portfolio, let's assume of 10 million euros that you want to dedicate it to such kind of enterprises, let's assume that 80% of the loans that you are giving are not reimbursed. We, European Investment Bank and European Investment Fund, we will act as a co-guarantors, as guarantee institutions. So we want to share the risk. So this is the first thing that we are doing, on finance. We want to stimulate as well the development of access to markets. So what are we doing on access to market? We know that social enterprises, you know, they are selling goods, they are selling services. So what we want to do is to help them to be fully part of public procurement market. We have some regulation, directive, especially the one from 2014, where we invite member states and stakeholders really to do their utmost and to, let's say, focus one part of their job and in that regard. Meaning we ask public procurement officers to reserve some markets in the member states, in region, in localities, you know, for social enterprises. So this is something that is for us, you know, really important as well. The third element, that the third direction where we are working on is to promote good framework conditions in Europe. What does it mean? It means that we are working a lot with another international organization, which is the OECD, located in Paris. We are preparing policy brief, and we have decided to set up a kind of online tool, and I will send you that, you know, in the chat thereafter, to help member states and region to do, let's say, some kind of diagnostic about the ecosystem for social entrepreneurship. Meaning, now, if you want to do something, member states, if you want to do something, region or local authorities, you can do a kind of check regarding the ecosystem for social entrepreneurship development, and this is how we can help you. Same thing that what we are trying to do, diagnostic, we are trying to push hard, you know, for the development of social innovation, you know, in Europe. For this, we are working with colleagues to develop, you know, some dedicated prizes, like prizes with the European Investment Bank for social entrepreneurs that have an idea that wants to set up a dedicated companies. The other thing that we want to do is to boost, you know, social innovation issue, you know, in public policies, in regional or national public policies. So this is something that is key as well. And we really want people and public policy officers to be aware that, especially today, you cannot think about a recovery in Europe without taking fully into consideration social innovation, social entrepreneurship as a tool, as an instrument to solve the crisis. What we have decided to do as well is to work on international relations. And for this, we are working a lot with the UN Task Force on Social and Solidarity Economy. The UN Task Force on Social and Solidarity Economy, this is a gathering of different organizations in United Nations that wants to make social economy high on the agenda of this institution. So we are observers to this task force and really pushing hard to develop new ideas, new projects about this new form of economy. So finance, framework conditions, social innovation, international relation, and public procurement. These are the main element that we want to focus on. And of course, in the Commission, DG GROW is not alone. We are working a lot with different Directorate General. For example, one key Directorate General is Directorate General Employment, where you know that who has Commissioner Nicolas Schmidt, you know, coming from Luxembourg. That was, by the way, before coming to the European Commission, Minister for Social Affairs and Social Economy, you know, in Luxembourg. By the way, Luxembourg was maybe one of the only European countries that had, as a minister, someone who was in charge of the development of social economy in his country. So we are working a lot with different DG Employment, DG Research and Innovation, DG FISMA, who is in charge of financial markets. We are working a lot with other DG like DG Clima and Environment, because social economy is really a transversal issue. So this is really key to work and to make them understand that each time that a policy, that a European Union policy, you know, is set up, they should not forget, you know, these kind of actors that wants to have, you know, social impact, because with them we could achieve, you know, some success. Of course, working inside the house, we decided to set up ourselves a task force, and we meet, let's say, every other month to discuss different topics and different issue to boost the development of such policy inside the house. But if you are working, inside the house, let's say that we need to work, with stakeholders and other European institutions. Let's say that the first European institution with whom we are working is the European Parliament. The European Parliament, since 1990, decided to set up. I wouldn't use, the word task force, but an intergroup. There is an intergroup in the European Parliament on social economy, gathering different MEP coming from different political parties, but that are all interested, in the development of social enterprise and social economy in the continent for the development of the internal market. So at the European Parliament, we have really a lot of links. By the way, we are going to meet some MEP next week to discuss what I will come back later, our policy for next year. We meet them, or we try to meet them, digitally now, but we used to go to different meetings there in order to have, a direct link with them. European Parliament, but the European Economic and Social Committee. And Antoine, during his introduction, highlighted the fact that, in fact, I was working at the European Economic and Social Committee during 4 years before coming back to DG Enterprise and DG Grow. And this is where I think that discussing with the stakeholders, members of this European Economic and Social Committee, this is where you see that they have a lot to bring, and they wanted to focus on a dedicated topic that was, social economy, and said we have the solution. I mean, localities have the solution, especially when we need to tackle societal concern, societal issue. And this is why I decided to get more involved in this, because this is something that is key. The European Commission, in many policies, should not have a top-down approach. We have to boost, a bottom-up approach, which means that we must listen, to the stakeholders. This is key. We have to listen to them, to interact with them, to co-create public policies. And really, social economy as a transversal issue, is something that is important. It's a key example, of good co-creation of public policies. So European Parliament, European Economic Social Committee, and of course is the Committee of the Region. And this is important. This is important to notice that we need to discuss with stakeholders. And I remember that 2 years ago, we were having a unit meeting and we said, but what can we do? I mean, we are in Brussels, so we meet stakeholders that are located in Brussels, discussing, some best practices, example of such kind of enterprises that can do something, let's say global challenges, but finding local solution to those global challenges. So what can we do? And we decided to brainstorm during several days, meeting in different teams, and we said maybe a good idea would be to take our let's say suitcases and go really on the ground with them to discuss. And we decided to set up a new scheme, which is called the European Social Economy Region. It's a scheme that exists since 2018, where we decided to go in different parts of Europe and to discuss with stakeholders. So, for example, being French, I went to several regions in France to discuss with stakeholders, to help them to work, on the development of social economy. One example, I went to Cyprus because Cyprus is currently working on the creation of a dedicated law for social enterprises. So I stayed there during several days to work with different working groups because they needed, the support of the European Commission. They say, we know what we want to do, but sometimes we don't know how to do it. How can the European Commission do this? And how we can do it is to exchange best practice coming from all the places, you know, in Europe. So ESA is really a success because 3 years after, we have now more than 100 stakeholders that are part of our network, and we are going to meet this network, you know, in 1 month, again to discuss dedicated topic like education, entrepreneurship, access to finance, public procurement, social innovation, question relating to climate change, and question relating to environmental issues. So really a key success. Mais si on regarde maintenant, je dirais, cette question clé qui est le développement de l'économie sociale, je pense que ce qui est important, c'est certes, nous avons mis en place des outils, certes, nous sommes allés à la rencontre des stakeholders, mais qu'est-ce qu'on attend pour demain? Qu'est-ce qu'on veut faire? Eh bien, je crois que l'élément essentiel, l'élément le plus important, c'est déjà de revoir dans la lettre de mission de Nicolas Schmitt, du commissaire en charge de l'économie sociale, c'est de voir que la présidente de la Commission européenne, Madame Ursula von der Leyen, a demandé à Nicolas Schmitt de préparer un plan d'action sur l'économie sociale qui est attendu pour 2021 dans le cadre de la présidence slovène. Eh bien, pour cela, dans le cadre de cette présidence slovène, nous avons décidé de mettre en place, encore une fois, ces groupes de travail, de travailler avec les stakeholders qui sont ici sur Bruxelles, qui sont ici dans les États membres et dans les régions, avec les autres institutions internationales. Mais nous avons aussi décidé de mettre en place des rendez-vous mensuels, ce qu'on appelle the roadmap to Mannheim. Je vous enverrai tout à l'heure le lien. Qu'est-ce que c'est? C'est de se dire que nous allons faire une grande conférence sur l'économie sociale au mois de mai l'année prochaine à Mannheim, en Allemagne. Elle devait avoir lieu le mois prochain, mais en raison de la situation sanitaire, de la pandémie qui sévit en Europe, nous avons décidé de la postposer jusqu'au mois de mai l'année prochaine. Eh bien, nous avons décidé de nous retrouver tous les mois avec ces stakeholders pour discuter de différents sujets. Nous nous sommes vus le mois dernier où nous avons pu, avec ces derniers, prendre la température sur ce qu'ils avaient pu faire dans le cadre de la lutte contre le Covid-19 et de voir que ces entreprises, en fait, elles étaient vraiment les premières de cordée à travailler sur la résolution des problèmes. Donc, on a vu beaucoup d'entreprises sociales commencer à faire des masques, créer du gel, travailler avec des entreprises traditionnelles pour se dire, mais on a besoin d'aller dans les quartiers défavorisés, qu'il y a des jeunes qui n'arrivent plus à suivre des cours, mettons en place notamment des associations, mettons en place via notre association des cours online. Donc, on a vraiment remarqué une volonté de pousser à créer, je dirais, des engagements forts pour lutter contre la crise. Donc, un événement qui a eu lieu la semaine dernière, ou il y a 2 semaines de ça. Nous allons nous retrouver d'ici quelques jours à la fin du mois d'octobre pour un nouvel événement et je vous invite également à venir nous rejoindre online. On va travailler sur la question des skills, des compétences, travailler sur les questions d'emploi et de voir comment les entreprises de l'économie sociale peuvent également être des pourvoyeuses d'emploi, mais également travailler à faire de la formation pour des personnes qui sont défavorisées ou qui sont en marge de la société. Tous les mois, une rencontre. Nous allons faire une grande rencontre au mois de novembre où, là encore, le commissaire Nicolas Schmitt prendra la parole. Nous aurons la présence également de la nouvelle secrétaire d'État française à l'économie sociale et solidaire, de la ministre espagnole, pour nommer quelques personnes qui est elle aussi en charge de l'ESS. Tout ça pour préparer, je dirais, cette grande communication qui va, à mon avis, jalonner nos activités dans les années à venir. Donc, une grande communication qui pour nous est extrêmement importante et qui, faut-il l'avouer, est attendue depuis quelque temps maintenant par les stakeholders. Donc, très important. And of course, what I wanted to say, and this is now, I'm going to send you, in the chat, some key information, about what we are doing. I mean, more information, please, if you have just 2 minutes here. So you have now, some web link, that I sent. You will find, on the first web link, some information about our current activities in the Directorate General, workshop that we are currently having, or relation that we decided to, or meeting that we had with international organization, survey that we have done. On the second one, the Better Entrepreneurship Tool, this is a work that we carried out with the OECD. You have on the third thing, which is very important as well, on OECD, something which is key, is that we decided with them, to prepare policy briefing, research. So it's a lot of work that we are having with them. I am currently responsible for a task with OECD working on the internationalization of social economy, and try to see where, for example, in some country like South Korea, India, Brazil, Mexico, how this economy is being developed and what are the tools. We want to focus on these countries, and then after that, try to see how we can expand, the policy recommendation that we are going to have, on those countries, for a regional dimension. The last web link is interesting as well. This is USES 2020. This is the big conference that we are going to have, next year. So of course, a lot to do, a lot of work that we are implementing, that we are having. Let's say that the days are short, and this is why we are having, for more than 3 years, some stagiaires that come. Some of them came from the College of Europe, by the way. They were really helpful, really helping us a lot, to work. Maybe just to mention that I still have, some relation, with former students that came here, to work, for some staff. They were either Blue Book or, a typical stagiaire. To tell you that 2 of them, are currently working in a social economy organization after their practice here. One is working, as Euclid, and I will send you the web link. Euclid is an international organization of social entrepreneurs that is located in the Netherlands. Really, it's a kind of umbrella organization of social entrepreneurs coming throughout different countries in the EU, and working, on policy making, better policy making for them, and really acting as a link between, their client organization and the European Commission. So I had her on the phone last week. She's very happy to be there. And we have another Blue Book training that is now currently working, in Ireland as well, really working on access to finance and working on ethical finance. I think it's in Ireland. So really a good opportunity. I will send you right now, maybe in the chat, something that may help you, just to tell you that in fact this is a sector that is recruiting, and especially young people, or okay, I have it now. You have the Euclid network. Move. This is, the French organization. Have a look. This is the umbrella organization in France of social entrepreneurs, and they post, jobs on their website. The UN is as well looking for people, experts, in the field of social entrepreneurship. And if you are ready to go to exotic countries, maybe I'm a bit too old to go there, but I think that many young people are ready, to take their suitcases, to go to such countries. You will see that the UN is really recruiting, for short and long-term mission, people interested, in the development of social economy, social entrepreneurship ecosystem in different parts of the world. So this is really a, let's say, a blooming economy, social entrepreneurship that is really really key. Is really about putting together economic activities and social concern, you know, to achieve, and this will be maybe my last word, the sustainable development goals that are expected for 2030. So this is, you know, really in few words what I can say about my presentation. Have a look really on the web link that I sent you. I could discuss, speak, explain during long hours, but let's say that in French we call that, you know, un survol d'hélicoptère du sujet, and I hope that it gives you more hint about what we are doing, and really it's a very exciting project we are working on, and this is something that if you want to make a career on it, you will not be disappointed. Thank you very much.
Merci, Patrick.
Yes, Patrick, thank you very much. Yeah, I think we're open for questions now. I already saw one from Natalie, and you maybe can ask it in a minute. But I also noted down some questions before, and maybe we can quickly tackle them. And then in the meantime, maybe others also post a question in the chat function. And I had a question, and if you're a recent graduate, or if you want to get involved in this sector, what is the best way to go? So where do you, I mean, you posted some links where you can look for jobs, but what is the best way to tackle this, and also what kind of qualifications are needed language-wise, but also which kind of subjects you should study? Do you need a lot of experience before? And maybe you can talk a bit about this.
But I would say that, of course, it's important to have some experience, you know, and of course, being, you know, a graduate, you know, from the College of Europe, you know, this can help. But I would say that social economy, you know, as it is, you know, a transversal, you know, issue, you know, you can learn, you can study, you know, different topics. I mean, what is important is to explain what you can bring, you know, to the organization, and that you want to act, you know, for a dedicated purpose, you know. This is what, in fact, you know, a lot of organizations are looking for, you know. You have to be flexible. I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, loudly, you know, about the stagiaire that came, you know, in the unit. Flexibility, bringing ideas, bringing new and fresh ideas. This is something that is key, you know. Not to be, you know, followers, but really, you know, to come say, this is what I would suggest, you know, on this topic, and to make links, because this is something that organizations are looking for, you know. And of course, to be IT literate, this is important, you know. For me, sometimes it's difficult, but I try to be. But really, you know, and let's say, not to be disappointed, you know, because I remember when I left, you know, the College of Europe in '96. I used to say at this time, you know, we were not making the full use of emails, and I remember that I sent a lot of CVs, cover letters. I did not receive, you know, a lot of feedback, but, you know, be perseverant. I would say this is something that is important. And don't forget one thing, especially, you know, in this kind of market, you know, in the social economy market, you have jobs that are located, you know, in Brussels, you know, for umbrella organization, but really do not hesitate to send, you know, application, you know, in member states, in region, you know, in localities, you know. This is where you will have, you know, maybe the most change to find, you know, a contract or a job to begin.
Good. Thanks for this. And then I see we have a question from Natalie. Natalie, do you want to unmute yourself and talk yourself, or do you rather want me to read out your questions?
If no objections, then I might elaborate slightly on the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. So first of all, thank you for setting up this call to the Alumni Organization, and also for very informative overview. That was really, really interesting. I had indeed two questions, and I'll try to be brief. I had a chance to work with a social enterprise in Ukraine, and what I witnessed is that typically there are two paths. It's either CSO, so society organization, transitioning to becoming social enterprises, or businesses, but it was to quite a more rare extent. And as we know, in EU, there is no harmonized legislation on the legal entities of the social enterprise. So first question is related to that. What is the current maybe initiative underway to harmonize it? Because I think it's also very important to assess, to finance what banks qualify as a social enterprise. That's the first question. And the second one is also related to something that I'm currently working on the just transition, but I was just curious if there's interlinkages between the social business and the just transition region, meaning if there's support specifically to the social enterprises in the co-regions affected, and if it's being considered, for example, by the Commission or by people working on it as one of also very feasible responses to support this transition in the region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Natalie, for this question. I think that first of all, there is no initiative, for an harmonization of a single legal definition, and I think that this is better, because if you go, to different member states and region, you will see that a social enterprise can take any kind of legal form. You cannot have, an harmonized form, because if you have an harmonized form, this will, for example, be a barrier of the development of new legal form that maybe will come, in 5 years or in 10 years, So no legal harmonization. However, what we want to push is to have a kind of some criteria that will say this is, this can be, a social, this can be a social enterprises. We have done with the consortia a study. It was 2 years ago that finished last year, about a kind of mapping of social enterprises in the different country. And you cannot imagine, how, let's say, how they are. I mean, they are very, very different. So, for example, in France, I would say it's easy. You have a law, and in the law it's written, is considered as part of the social economy this kind of enterprises. Easy. These people, these enterprises will receive a grant, for example, from the state. Easy, in theory. But in other parts, of Europe, you will not find this. And especially, I will take, the example, of Germany, where in Germany, for example, you have a lot of social services, that can be enterprises. There is a definition of enterprises. This is, an entity that have, economic activities, and there in Germany, due to, constitutional background, you don't have, a law on social economy or on social enterprises, but we clearly see, that there are some, let's say, ideas about what can be, a social enterprise. So sometimes it's better to keep, this ecosystem very large, very varied, diversified, because I think that this makes, the richness of our European social economy. And this is what we decided, to exchange best practices. If something exists already, at regional, national level, we, Europe, due to subsidiarity, we should not try to reinvent, a new concept, a new law, and saying, for us, this is a social enterprise. For us, this is not a social enterprise. So we have to be very careful. We prefer to stimulate best practices, success stories, about social enterprise development, rather to have, a very strict definition. Sometimes, especially, in some regulation, we say we consider as a social enterprise this kind of entities, but we try to stay very large. We don't want to be too narrow. This is important. I see that there is a second question on the just transition policy. We are working a lot, especially for just transition policy, and especially with our colleague from DG Energy, DG Environment. By the way, a former colleague of mine who is head of a team working for the Just Transition Fund, and of course, this is where we see social enterprise, really as a enabler, of this Just Transition Fund, especially about skilling, reskilling of workers that in some years will need to leave, their company, because their company is really, based on coal activities, especially, in the central and eastern countries. So we know that this kind of enterprises will help to skill, upskill, or reskill such kind of people. So we are really looking forward to working with the social enterprise community, especially for the Just Transition Fund.
Good. Then I see another question. Natalie, do you have something remaining, or?
No, I think that was a very rich answer to my question. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm giving the floor to the following.
Yes, because I see a question from Jan. Do you want to unmute yourself and speak? Otherwise, I can read out your question.
Yeah, I can unmute myself.
Hi.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jan. I'm from Estonia, studying currently at the college in Eco department. So you've talked about financial instruments to support the social economy enterprises and the role of European Bank of Investment and the investment fund. And so I'm curious how well the banks, commercial banks, they receive this initiative, or how well do they see the opportunity in social economy, and whether there is any other incentives which DG Growth Commission offers in order to promote better financing for social enterprises. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Jan. Yes, we have a dedicated program that is called the EASI. This is what I mentioned at the beginning. This is the European Program for Social Innovation. This is where we have what we call the financial instrument, and the financial instruments are really managed by the European Investment Fund, the EIB in Luxembourg. This is where we ask, them really to get in touch with banks that are located everywhere, in Europe, and to ask them if you have, some dedicated program for social enterprises, we are ready to support. What I can tell you is that up to now, if I'm not wrong, I think that nearly 100 banks in Europe sign agreement with the EIB, EIF, just to do some lending to social enterprises for their operation. So we are quite happy. We could even do more, but it's already a success story. We are very happy because what we have seen, especially for enterprises, that they are not only looking for grants. Of course, you can give a grant to a social enterprises, especially at the beginning of their activities. But what they need to receive a market instrument, because they are in the market. So they have to receive either equity investment, having loans, micro loans from banks, and this is why we are working with such kind of private actors to boost them in order to focus on the development of social enterprise. I will give you, let me check on the website, EASI program. This is it. Okay. If you want to have more information about these programs, because of course, we are working for microfinance, but you are working as well for social entrepreneurship finance. You will have, all the information. But we clearly see that, and you're coming from Estonia, you told me. But maybe have a look, there, And if you go to the EIF website, you will see if EIF has signed with Estonia, with a bank from Estonia, such kind of agreement. I would say yes. Which one? I don't know. I know that we have signed with France 3 agreement, and there are, by the way, you know, in France, dedicated financial instrument banks that are, I mean, ethical banks that are working with social enterprise. But it's not only about ethical banks. Some traditional banks wants to have a say, wants to work with social entrepreneur as well, and this is why they get in contact with the EIF to see, well, I'm a bit scared about, you know, this topic. I don't know how it works. I don't know what is a social enterprise. Tell me what it is, this kind of thing. I'm a bit reluctant to risk. I want to share risk with the EIB. And we could notice that thanks to the support of the EIF, EIB, you know, we could have multiplied, you know, the possibility of those kind of social entrepreneur, you know, to create a company and to expand, especially on the internet market. But again, you know, as mentioned, I think that more and more banks, and this is a personal feeling that I have, and I think that I hope it will be true, more and more banks, asset manager are interested, you know, in this kind of market. So this is something that will be developed, you know, in the coming years. So if you are studying, you know, economy, you know, in the College of Europe, this can be a good opportunity for you to work on the social market, social enterprise market. This will be, you know, I think there will be great opportunities.
Good, thank you. I don't see any more questions in the chat functions, and our hour is almost over. Does anyone have a specific remaining question?
Maybe one on my side.
Okay, go ahead, Antoine.
Okay, pour terminer cette session, je voulais dire, voilà, quel est ton meilleur souvenir de Bruges? Ça fait quelques années maintenant que tu as sorti le collège. De quoi tu te souviens-tu le mieux? Quel est ton meilleur souvenir de cette période-là où on était tous ensemble à Bruges?
My best souvenir from Bruges. I have plenty of them, maybe two. And I think that those who are already, I don't know if there are anybody, I was a student and I was in Garenmarkt. No, sorry, Hoedenanstraat. Yes, not Garenmarkt. Garenmarkt, this was the canteen. So I was in Hoedenanstraat. And I think that one of the best was, of course, you know, Thursday evening when we had some parties there. And I'm sure that, Antoine, you remember this kind of parties. This was great. And another great souvenir that I have is that we had that year a very cold winter. And everything was frozen and we could do some ice skating. This was great. Yes, this was great. Let's say that really it's a fun year. It's a nice year. We had a lot to do, but what was nice that 25 years after, many of the students meet here in Brussels. And maybe just to finish this, the current Directorate General of DG Grow is a former student from the College of Europe. So really, this is great to see that we are a bit everywhere, and we keep all the spirit, you know, of the college, you know, when we are working.
Great. I think this is a good last statement from you, and thank you so much for today. I think if anybody has remaining questions, please feel free to maybe just send them to me along, because I send out the link to this webinar. You can contact me and I will forward it to you, Patrick. And for everybody else, yeah, I mean, hope that you join our next webinars too. We're gonna have some on lobbying, how to join lobbying organization, how to join academia, all these different fields that you can work on after the college. So yeah, feel free to join next time. And thank you so much, Patrick, for today.
And really one thing, I'm now, you know, doing some publicity as well. Join us, you know, on our road to Mannheim, and it will be digital, and you will have the opportunity to meet a lot of people and to discuss again social economy. So looking forward to seeing you there.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, bye.
Merci beaucoup, à très bientôt. Merci à tous, au revoir.